Thanks everybody for joining us today. My name is Kate Gladstein, and I might know some of you already, but I've been working with a small nonprofit organization called Sierra Water Work Group for 6 years. The mission of the Sierra Water Work Group is really similar to probably some of your member groups sites. And we assist regional efforts that protect environmental quality, water supply, watershed health, and really do a lot of the groundwork to facilitate the watershed efforts in the Sierra. So this is our website. Just wanted to show that. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about Watershed GIS today. And I was just wondering, for those that are in the Zoom meeting, how many of you have located yourself on a web map with a GIS tool like Google Maps or Google Earth? If you could hit the raise your hand button and let me know, that would be great.
I know I have.
Cool. You know, GIS used to be a little bit of a thing of the past, you know, a thing that was just reserved for scientists and highly expensive machinery and remote sensing with satellites. But today, most people have at least used Google Earth. And it's pretty unbelievable the kinds of things you can do with visual data once it's on the web. And we all know we have to get there first, and that's the big challenge. Life takes place on this, you know, spherical thing here, which has to be squished strategically to be useful in printed maps or on the web. Once it's digital, we can do crazy analytics and maybe even crazier than you thought. We can analyze election data in 3D. We can take ortho imagery from Mars, analyze global airflow patterns from flight data. You can map every move of a soccer match in 3D. Also, you know, it's used in tactical military operations, risk modeling, and breweries of the world. None of these help for regional watershed management. Well, at least not directly. Mapping and data analytics are really critical for the integrated watershed groups that so many of you work with. And with Sierra Water Work Group, I have developed custom GIS apps with representatives from 6 of the 13 Sierra regional IRWMs, integrated regional water management regions. These regions use these interactive apps to analyze project data that's funded and collaborated on, and the ongoing projects in each region. You can see from even just these snapshots of them that are on the screen right now with the circular dots. And those are categorized by different environmental incentives like watershed supply, water supply, water quality, ecosystem restoration, endangered species, stormwater issues, groundwater issues. And so these are all projects that are getting tracked and worked on in the Sierra regions. And through GIS, Sierra Water Work Group has helped them build data management systems so they can make sure that they're organized and moving forward with their goals. Data is also representation. These apps go beyond some of the larger scale mapping tools that agencies are able to provide. Those tools that public agents, federal and state agencies provide are also really important to utilize, but the power of NGO GIS work is that these apps can be built with local data that's not really available anywhere else, and data which public agencies struggle to produce publicly because they don't really fit into a neat box. Like non-federally recognized tribal data is a great example. If the tribes aren't nationally recognized, the Bureau of Indian Affairs agency really struggles to find a place to share their data, or maybe groundwater monitoring projects that small groups are doing in the region, there's nowhere for that data to really live and represent the work that's going on in the region. So there really is a need for a data that's sourced and built in the Sierra. These apps were all designed to be scalable and updated, and they can all be used to fund more projects or to advocate for additional projects in the region. 2020 has so much more going on than when we started this project with Sierra Water Workgroup. Not everyone is in the real-time event imagery game, but the industry is really moving in that direction. Here is the Walker Fire daily fire perimeter, and it's easily layered on top of that with the real-time NASA viewers hotspots, live earthquake, and imagery from a satellite in the last 48 hours from when I took this this pop-up. The real-time services will allow the swiftest emergency response possible for these type of events. My message today to all of you has two parts, and the first is keep growing your regional and interregional collaboration. The second part is I really want you all to think about the projects that your host sites are doing right now, and is there a spatial component to the work that you're doing that that data isn't being captured, but it would really help you share your successes if it were. For instance, if you're working with a group that has a invasive species removal project, are you collecting the data from every single site that you go to do that? And are you marking off when each site is finished? Because those results could really help you have a gold star to stand behind, not just for you, but for the whole region, to know that that work is happening and to share it with the broader community. It could help direct policy. It could help direct next steps in the region. So it's really good to think about both of those things. We need to get more of your work funded. The work that you're doing with your host sites is really important, and the funding is always scarce, especially for nonprofit work. So GIS can really help you share that with the broader community. And let's think about what it would take to get there. If licensing is an issue, that's something that we can work together, and we can help you get desktop software. Staff, we can talk about that too. So on the screen, you'll see a number of data portals that you might already be familiar with, some of them from public or federal agencies. But also, Sierra Water Workgroup has launched, in its early stages still, but we have launched a data hub specifically for that data that I was talking about, that maybe all of you are working on or could be working on. We want to help establish a source for hosted web data that is not really going to fit on any other agency or private company, and just to have this living, breathing platform where you can share your work with other people, and have that resource available to you. So this is my contact info for anybody that doesn't have it yet. But I also wanted to show you that data hub a little bit more closely today, because it's something that we're working on that I think is very exciting. So this is the Sierra Water Workgroup data hub, and it's still in its early stages, but because the Sierra Water Workgroup has built these 6 apps for Sierra watershed groups, we're in a really good spot to be able to have a source area where all of your work that you might want to share with the broader IRWM and Sierra nonprofit community, we want to have somewhere where that data can live and be hosted. So this is still in its infancy, but I'd like you all to go back to your host sites and really think about, could we benefit from seeing our work on a map? Could we benefit from seeing our work on an ongoing basis as able to compare to other regional data sets, such as the river levels, the fire hazard maps, the forest assessments that are done by other state by state and federal agencies. So we have this data hub started, and we are really looking forward to building it out, where we can have regional data, maybe boundary data if there's some things about regional boundaries that just really, no public agency or private company is sharing that information. Maybe I know there's been a lot of climate work that Circle and CalTrout and so many wonderful groups that you all are working on climate research. Maybe you need a place for your results to live and be shared with a broader scientific community. Maybe some water data, such as, smaller groundwater assessments, tribal data that doesn't really fit on the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Hydrographic data, a lot of you are doing groundwater, surface water analyses, suitability models. And we've started with 6 IRWM groups. It's going to become, it's going to be built so much bigger than that. So we have the Tahoe Sierra group, Yosemite Mariposa, Cabby, Upper Sac River, Lahontan Basin, and Inyo Mono. And I was hoping that this would all be loaded in, oh, there we go. I was hoping this would all be loaded and beautiful before I started, but there you go. And then this hub is also somewhere where you can connect to these interactive apps and kind of get a sense in what's going on in your region and how you can get more involved. And if your member groups have ongoing projects in this region, it's a great way for you to analyze the funding that's already come in and what your status is in the project. Or maybe you have a project that you already figured out all the conceptual elements to it and it's ready to join regional watershed efforts like this. So these are good resources for you, both for the ability to launch the built apps that we've made, and also if you've got some data that really needs to be represented, and you need this will help establish a voice for you in the region. And this is just our story at the bottom. So, oops, wanted to end here. So I wanted to now talk to the group a little bit about your host sites and your thoughts about public data and open data and how that can be used to support in non-government organizational efforts like the nonprofits that so many of you are really improving the work of every single day. So by a show of hands, or feel free to even unmute yourselves and join the conversation. Does anyone have thoughts or ideas about how more implementation of GIS could help their group, their host site, and their projects?
Well, I split my service with the Alliance and Variable Land Trust, so I got to see how they use GIS with trails, and it's actually kind of cool.
That's a great example. There's so much published data about land ownership and fire responsibility areas and forest maintenance responsibility areas and soil types and canopy types and water sensitivity indices for the species that live there. So putting maybe even data that you don't think of right now as spatial, like the boundary polygons of where you're working, or sites that you've gone out as an organization to do restoration work for. Maybe places that are on your radar as targets. Might not have thought of putting it on a map, but if you have it on a map, it might help you track it better, especially if there's funding involved. Ooh, and Luis Vidal has a good suggestion. He uses the U.S. Forest Service data hub site to get forest land topographic maps, and they have a whole bunch of fantastic enterprise data. And I love using their topographic maps as well. But there's so many organizations and public agencies like the U.S. Forest Service, the USGS, USGS and the NOAA have fantastic river and water modeling data that's also publicly available. So you can kind of check in on how all of the stream gauge stations, what level most of the rivers through our whole state is like in real time. It's a pretty good spot too. Does anyone have any more thoughts on that, or should I move on? So I guess by a show of hands, does anyone have access or experience with desktop GIS software? Nice. Well, how about any experience in programming or even basic computer programming? So there are a couple of languages that, you know, I guess because it doesn't sound like something that the audience is that interested in, I'll move really quickly past it. But WebGIS, the big difference between analyzing the projects that maybe your host sites are doing right now privately and being able to publish that to the web is that there's automation and like data management for your organization that's possible when you bring in a web component and a little bit of programming. So maybe that could be a different topic or a different webinar, but if people are interested in expanding their web capabilities, there's a lot of training available to do that with Python and HTML and JavaScript are all good places to start. So so there are free student ArcGIS online accounts available. So I wanted to mention that if anyone is a student, you can already have access to some pretty unbelievable resources through Esri, but also the Esri Training Academy is just one of many resources that that really have a lot available to review. So if you're interested in getting started with GIS or learning the basics, so if I or the Alliance at some point are able to provide some desktop software for you, you might be able to do a little bit more internal analysis for your site's projects. And there's also for people who are interested in using some Python geoprocessing or other scripting tools to manage data or automate data. There are some good resources here for that. For free or any, hit the maintenance boxes to review any that are free as long as you have an ArcGIS Online account. And there's some, we can talk about that if you have interest in moving forward with that. There's also free Python courses that are pretty fantastic and available available out there. I'd have to get back to you on more about that, but if anybody's interested in learning more about Python or some of the courses that are available, resources that are available to you right now, or training resources that I could be able to help you get access to, let me know and I would love to do that for you. And then before I go to questions, I also wanted to mention I have this survey that I will leave up for a week. I will put it in the chat. And I would hope that you might head over there and take that survey and just let us know, let the Alliance and I know what your thoughts are about the Watershed GIS discussion that we've had, and maybe some thoughts that you have about how that could help benefit your organization and your education. You're all AmeriCorps and Forest Fellows, and I know you're all really smart, really engaged young people. This work I may not have mentioned. All of the GIS work that I just showed you that the Sierra Water Work Group has built was started in the AmeriCorps program. It was started in the SNAP program that you're all participating in right now. I joined then Gavin and Liz Mansfield that were working for both the Sierra Nevada Alliance and Sierra Water Work Group. And we built this starting in 2014 and moving forward. So this was a dream, and a very scrappy dream. I was, teaching myself as I went along for some of the web GIS stuff, and new technology was released as I went along. But I want you guys to know that there's field collection apps that you can deploy on your phone that are just the click of a button. We can help you get set up with that. If you want to collect locations of where you're doing stream research or anything like that, that's something that we can help you build and deploy super easy and have available to you right on your phone or any mobile or non-mobile device. So that's it from me. I just wanted to bring it all back to full circle and let you know that it's not a crazy pie in the sky dream, and we, the Alliance and I want to help you implement the best strategies to analyze your group's work, and let us know what we can do to help you with that. We do at least have one question that came up in the comments. Lewis wanted to know what my suggestions for certifications for GIS, and are they worth it, and which are the most recommended? So that is a really good question, and there's probably a lot of different answers that you'd get from a lot of different professionals. My personal opinion is that this field has kind of developed out of nothing but interested people from either the programming world or the environmental science world. And I think before worrying about a certification, and certifications are great, especially if you are a current student, it wouldn't hurt to take a course. It's a college course, even a free course at a community college that you could say, yes, I have had formal GIS education. I think that's really helpful. The skills in this industry always trump the paper. So if you feel like there's an area where you could build a little bit, there are unbelievable free training courses available. And let me know if I can help you find them, either from the Esri training catalog, or there really are so many. There's oh, maybe I can grab it right now. There's a Python scripting training class that was just made publicly available, that was released from a NASA training. And I can't find it now. Oh, here it is. So there are a lot of really great training resources out there. And I would say the things that are going to get you hired and the things that are going to get the attention of future employers are what you can do and what you can show that you can do. So knowing how to, there are intro to ArcGIS Pro and Esri's ArcMap platform, ArcGIS Online. And most of these classes are free. So kind of trying to at least give yourself a good foundation, and you will get certificates for every free GIS course that you complete with the Esri Training Academy. I think brushing up on your skills is always my first recommendation. But beyond that, yes, of course, the certificates are good and they're great. But at the end of the day, we are a little bit, visual programmers. So being able to produce visually captivating data that tells a story is always your first priority, I guess. And the scripting does really help to automate things and to manage your data and visualize your data in a way that tells the story you want to tell. Louis, did that maybe help answer your questions?
I do have a question. Is there much of a difference between the ArcGIS Pro and the one online? Because there are some technologies that I have that aren't allowing me to download the Pro, but I can use the online.
So ArcGIS Online is a little bit more of a workspace where you can patch together data that you've published and are hosting, whether you're hosting on Esri servers or your own organizational GIS servers. So ArcGIS Online is not really meant to be the workspace where data is processed. It can, in limited ways, some data editing can happen there. And a lot of people choose to, only work in that environment. But there are, I guess, intentional limitations. A lot of the scripting and data processing should really be done from the ground up, just as any developed website or product would be made. So what I would recommend is, Sydney, I can help you maybe figure out your licensing issues. Or there's also QGIS is a free desktop software that you can download and use to do some of that work. But it's really recommended to build your data, create the geodatabase connections that you need, create the domains and anything built in that you're going to want to use later. And then from there, you hit that rocket launch button. From the desktop software, you publish to a hosted server location, which is kind of what I'm talking about with the hub. And Sydney, I encourage everyone in the audience to let me know if you have an ArcGIS Online account, and I will add you to the administration team for this hub site. We want to share your work. We want to celebrate what you are all doing together. So this is a spot where you can see that data as it's hosted on the server. So you get your data ready to go. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's telling the story that you want to tell with it. You are going to publish that to server, and then that's when you access your ArcGIS Online account and you build a web map and maybe an app that after you build the web map out how you would want your web users to experience it. And from there, you can really do a lot. There's a API for developer. You don't have to have any Esri licensing at all to build an ArcGIS app. You can build everything with desktop. You can publish to a server. Esri is your organizations, if they have one. You can use it, Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. And then you can download open source Esri develop or other company APIs, and you can build in JavaScript, HTML, Python, and JSON, and you can build your own app. You don't need any licensing. It can be done completely with no licensing, but that's I guess the way I do it, to make sure that you are so right there that you're not going to be able to do scripting or any of the data processing that you really need to do to maintain an active database with the online platform. So let's work on that. What about it? Are there any questions or anything that I could share that people didn't get to see? Feel free to jump right in, unmute yourself, jump right in, or write it in the chat. And otherwise, oops. And otherwise, here's my contact info and the Sierra Water Workgroup website. There's also a link to our hub site for the data. And let me know what we can do to help you stand on your mountain and share the work that you are all doing in your host sites with the broader, not just the broader regional watershed group community, but also, that representation of having your project spatially and hosted on a server, which Sierra Water Workgroup is happy to cover the cost of hosting that. We want you to be represented, and we want you to share your work with not just the integrated regional watershed community, but also this is what this kind of data can speak volumes to legislators that don't really know how source water areas feel about groundwater or this or that. With Sierra Water Workgroup, in just 6 years, I've already seen public agencies change their definition of what a disadvantaged community is, and what actually how they define groundwater basins, because of some of the work that that small organizations have done in the Sierra. So let me know, and let Sydney know, let Jenny know, let everybody know if we can help you figure out a way to collect that data that you're already doing the work, and help you have a bit of a gold star to celebrate with everyone. And thanks for joining me today. I will post the link again for you to follow up with us about any thoughts, any questions, a little bit of what you might need to get yourself to the next level. And just know that there are a lot of people out there who support what you're doing and believe in AmeriCorps and believe in regional collaborative resource management. And thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for presenting today.
You're welcome.
If there are no other questions, I didn't see any on Facebook, so I'm going to go ahead and end it. Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody, and reach out anytime. My door is always open. Thanks.
I'll send your email to everyone if you didn't get it. Thank you.
Excellent. Bye.
Bye.